The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a magazine and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co. My next guest is David Fagan. I'm going to read a quick bio and then I'm going to bring him in. David Fagan is the former CEO of Guerrilla Marketing, which sold over 23 million books in 62 languages all over the world, as well as the former owner of LCO Communications, a Beverly Hills PR firm that has represented 58 Academy Award winners, 34 Grammy winners, and 43 New York Times bestsellers. He's won major awards for publishing, publicity, and even the Entrepreneur Educator of the Year award from Inc. 500. Infusionsoft. So I wanted to invite him to come along. And David, hey, how are you?
Doing good. Yeah, doing real good. I wanted to be more like you today, but I didn't know I would be exactly like you. Look at this. I got the black shirt here. I got one button undone. I've got, look, I left a little bit of facial hair here. I can't grow it as fast as you, but I left a little bit here, shaved the sides, just so I'd just be a little bit more like you today. So look at us.
I got to say, you got the memo, obviously, David. So thank you so much. I love it. I love it. You look very, very sharp.
Well, thank you. I'm just trying to rise to your level. You know, it's just always you give me something to look up to. Thank you, Bernardo.
Well, David, listen, I want to thank you so much. You've been supporting us at the Best You EXPO. You've been hosting. We've had some great conversations here around TV. And I was at your event, the JV Mastermind, which I think is a phenomenal event. Everyone should sign up for. But look, you're a phenomenal connector. You are, without a doubt, I think one of the best in the industry, if not the best. And I'm very happy to be associated, working with you, partnering with you, and discussing all sorts of opportunities. So I just wanted to thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And if you're listening to this right now, just know that, man, there are so many great other sessions. I was just listening to kind of the last one you had up there. You have some great panels here. Those women are amazing. I mean, I can think of news shows that have panels of women that don't even come near what you put together there. But guys, if you're listening to this right now and you're just getting this segment, definitely break out and play around and search out some of those group conversations and some of those interviews, because there's some real gems and gold nuggets here. And, think about who needs to see it. I don't know about you, but when I see something that I really like, either I'll stop it and I have to go get Isabel, my wife, or I'll have to save it or share it, for the people that it pops into my head. And so don't be afraid to go share it either, because, there's some really good stuff in here.
Well, thank you. And listen, it's all going to be on television within 24, 48 hours. It's all going to be uploaded. People can watch it on demand. And Sarah Davison, actually, which was one of my panelists, she's published a book with you, hasn't she?
Yeah. We got to publish her book. And actually, we met her at the Best You EXPO in LA. I saw her at her booth and we got to talking. And so I actually got connected to her through your community, through your network.
Brilliant. Well, I'm conscious of your time because we're on schedule here. So over to you. Thank you so much, David. Take care.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So today, guys, there's some fun things that we can talk about. We do a lot in the world of media. How do you become an icon in your own industry? How do you become that celebrity expert or that authority in your industry? And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But I also just wanted to talk real big picture with you. Since this is the Best You EXPO, I really wanted to start off with a few things that might get you in the zone of this year, this month, this next week. What are you really going to do to be the best you, right? The best version of yourself. And, one of the things that I have focused in on and share with audiences from time to time is something that I thought was very timely and appropriate for today. And I want to do a little exercise with you. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. You can do this mentally, but we're just going to draw a line right down the middle here, right? And we're just going to put successful at the top. And under successful, what I want you to do is just make a list. What are all the attributes? What are all the things that would make up a successful person, right? What's an attribute of a successful or a highly successful person? You might say something like driven. I'm going to help you out here. You might say something like hardworking. You might say something like they're knowledgeable. But keep thinking about these things. Keep thinking about, maybe you picture somebody. Maybe you picture one of the speakers on here. Maybe you picture somebody who is one of the authors and somebody who's an expert on one of the panels. What are some of their attributes? And just think about all of those things that it could be. Maybe they're a team player. Maybe they're a strong communicator. Maybe they're very motivational. Maybe they're very inspirational. I know those kind of sound similar, but they could mean different things to different, people. Maybe successful people have certain kinds of achievements, accomplishments. Maybe they have testimonials. Maybe they've gotten awards, but I want to really focus on the attributes of it. Like, what is an attribute? Maybe they're strategic, right? They have a lot of strategy. Maybe they're a visionary. Okay. They seem to have that visionary gene. There's one that I really like, and that is, we kind of call the grandmaster gene, right? It's like playing chess. You have the ability to see 4 or 5 moves ahead. Like, if I do this, then this might happen or that might happen. If I do this, then that might happen. And then I could do this, and then I could do this, and then this would be likely to happen. But that ability to think 3 or 4 or 5 moves ahead. So those are all things that would be, make up a list of, would make you be successful. These are attributes of really successful people, right? So now, we're going to do the opposite. And I already kind of, prep the sheet here for us so we can move faster. But this is what you'd want to have on your sheet. You'd want to have successful and unsuccessful. And then you make a list of those attributes on both sides. So what are all the attributes of an unsuccessful person? What are the things, so, maybe they're kind of lazy. Maybe, and what's funny is some of them start to become the opposite of the first list, right? So the first list is driven and hardworking and knowledgeable, and they're a strong communicator, and they're motivated, and they're inspirational, and they're a visionary. So, it can start to become the opposite of those things. Maybe they're uncommitted instead of committed, right? Maybe they're kind of sort of wish-washy. It's kind of an expression here in the S. They're kind of just, maybe they have shiny object syndrome, right? So that means they're just always changing their mind and kind of moving on, to the next thing, never really, seeing things through, right? Maybe they're not good with people, bad with people, right? Maybe they try to, go it alone too much, too solo, right? Too solo. It's a real technical term there. But think about those things. What are all the attributes of an unsuccessful person? The same thing, who's somebody who maybe struggled. Not that they're a bad individual. Okay, we're not judging somebody as, are they a good human being? We're just thinking, okay, what are successful people? What are the attributes that they have as a successful person? And then again, what does an unsuccessful person look like? And we probably have seen that before. And what are some of the attributes that they have that are contributing to that? Okay. So now once you do that, I want you to kind of just look at that list, right? We got this list here. So on one hand, we got things like driven and hardworking. They're strong communicators. They're knowledgeable. They're inspirational. They're strategic. They're a visionary. That's just some of them. When I do this with an audience, we might make a list of 20, 30, 40 of them. And then unsuccessful, maybe they're lazy and they're wish-washy and they got shiny object syndrome. They're not committed and, they won't put in the time and they're not very good with people and they try to go it alone. And, so these are some of the things that would make them unsuccessful. These are attributes of unsuccessful people. So what I want you to realize about this, what is true about all of these things? Okay, what is true about all these things? When I have had the chance, and I've had the chance with a lot of people, a lot of really successful people, to get to know them and interview them, I've noticed that there is one trait, there's one attribute, okay, that really supersedes all others. And I know a lot of people have a different spin on like, what's that one thing? What's that one attribute, right? And, what's that one technique? What's that one skill? And if once we know that skill, how do we perfect that skill? And so for me, what I've witnessed and what I've seen and all of the most successful people, we've represented Academy Award winners, Grammy winners, New York Times bestsellers, millionaires. We have a client right now that, $1 billion company, so I've had the chance to really be around some wildly successful people. And here's what I've noticed. The number one successful trait, ability, skill is that they are very, very, very good decision makers, right? They just have this uncanny talent, this ability for making a very high amount of good decisions. Okay. Now you can't make 100% perfect decisions, and sometimes your bad decisions can lead you to a good decision. And we learn from our mistakes and our bad decisions, but they're really great decision makers. And they know how to recognize opportunity, and they know how to recognize, what to do and when to do it. Okay. And so, one of the things that you should be working on more than anything else is, what is your decision making matrix? What is your ability to make really good decisions? Someone like Oprah Winfrey, someone like, Bill Gates, the late Steve Jobs, these people had a very high success rate and probability of making a really good decision. So like take Steve Jobs, for example. Here's a guy who worked in multiple industries, multiple companies, Pixar, Apple, iTunes, list goes on. And yet he was successful in so many of them. So when somebody is successful in multiple industries, multiple decades, multiple economies, multiple companies, what do we now know about them? We know that this isn't luck. Okay. People do get lucky sometimes, and they kind of become a millionaire. They get an idea, they have some success, they're good at it, the timing was right, and it's not uncommon for a lot of people who get that kind of money to lose it. But I'm always fascinated by the people who have the ability to make it, keep it, grow it, and do it in multiple economies, multiple companies, multiple industries, multiple decades, right? When I say economies, I mean good economy, bad economy, right? I mean, can you make money in a bad economy? Some people might say that last year, was a bad economy, and there's a little bit of an expression out there that a bad economy is like a garage sale for really affluent people, really wealthy people, right? And again, one of the most popular definitions of success is when preparation meets opportunity. So if you're affluent and you have the ability to make deals, right? And all of a sudden there's a lot of deals out there, you're prepared for that, all those deals, then, you're probably going to do pretty good. But what is your decision making matrix? What is the probability of you making good decisions in your personal life, good decisions in your professional life? And here's the thing that I want you to notice about these attributes, right? This should be the big aha and big breakthrough moment. When we look at these attributes here of driven, hardworking, knowledgeable, communicator, couldn't you decide to be driven? Couldn't you just say, that's it, I'm going to be driven. I'm going to do everything I can just to be very driven, very ambitious. Couldn't you decide to be hardworking? Couldn't you decide to be knowledgeable? I'm going to learn. This is the year of learning. This is the month of learning. Couldn't you decide to be a good communicator? Couldn't you decide to be motivational? Couldn't you decide, to become more strategic? Couldn't you decide to be a visionary? Guys, so much of success is literally a decision, right? It is literally a decision to be those things. And then as time goes on, you want to hone those decision-making skills. And there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. And there's an expression, knowledge is power. That's not really true anymore. Knowledge is just knowledge. I mean, if you want knowledge, go to Google. I mean, Google has kind of killed the knowledge business, right? There really isn't any value in knowledge.
If you're interested in finding your true purpose, if you're interested in finding your legacy, if you're interested in growing, if you are sick and tired of reading books that don't help you, haven't helped you, or are not helping you, or attending courses and seminars that haven't really had an impact in your life, I invite you to read my book, The Question, Find Your True Purpose, out now. For more information, go to www.thequestion.co. If you're interested in working with me, contributing, speaking at any of our many events, partnering, or licensing The Best You. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.
Wisdom is power. Nowadays, more than ever before, wisdom is power, right? And wisdom is to know and starts with which truth has the greatest value. Which truth has the greatest value? A lot of times when we're new to something, younger, or maybe we're just getting into an industry, we're learning the right things to do, right? The right thing to do could be to get up early. The right thing to do could be to, work a certain number of hours. The right thing to do could be become more educated, make certain kinds of investments, build certain kinds of teams. We learn these things, right? Business best practices, if you will. But as time goes on, we can't do it all. We can't pursue every opportunity. Okay. We can't prepare for every opportunity, right? So instead of the formula of, preparation plus opportunity equals success, really it's like preparation squared plus opportunity squared. We got the little twos up there next to the numbers, right? Divided out by the wisdom of knowing which things to prepare for and which opportunities to pursue, over to the right there, minus the ego, right? That can really kill you there, equals super success. So do you want to be successful? Do you want to be super successful? It's a little bit different of an equation, but it is decision making. It starts with deciding to be all the things that successful people are. And then it becomes a lifelong pursuit of deciding, okay, what is my decision making matrix going to be? And when we have difficult decisions to make, which truth has the greatest value? Which truth has the greatest value? So let me give you an example here. And this is where we're going to get to be a little bit more advanced. And I know Bernardo in The Best You attracts some pretty advanced people. So here we go. I'm going to teach you a couple of things. Okay. They're going to get harder as they go. We got 3 things to do here. First one, finishing is happiness. Write that down. Finishing is happiness. My wife, Isabel Donadillo, actually wrote a book on that, Finishing is Happiness. You want more happiness in your life? Finish that website. You want more happiness? Finish that book. You want more happiness? Finish that course. You want more happiness? Finish that campaign. Finish that funnel. You want more happiness? Finish that JV. If you want more happiness, finish, right? Finishing is happiness. Okay. Part 2. I'm going to start to get a little more difficult here. Quitting is the secret art to winning. Quitting is the secret art to winning, right? Think about this. Oprah Winfrey doing radio, local television. She could have said, I'm going to be the best there ever is in this, but she didn't. She went on to have her own show. She quit that. She went on to have her own network, right? It started out with the Oprah Winfrey show. Now it's just okay. She could have said, hey, I'm just going to be the best host there ever was, right? But she just kept going. She quit things to do something different, to do something more. Michael Jordan, right? He was actually playing the game of baseball, not basketball. He's playing the game of baseball. His father just died. He'd left basketball. He's playing baseball. And he could have said, I'm going to be just as good in baseball as I was in basketball, right? I'm here now. I committed to this. I'm going to be just as good in baseball. I'm going to win just as many awards in baseball. But he didn't. He quit baseball. He went back to basketball and he won 3 more NBA championships. And now he's considered one of the best basketball players of all time, if not the best basketball player of all time. So Michael Jordan's a quitter, right? You didn't know that, did you? You didn't know Oprah was a quitter. You didn't know Michael Jordan was a quitter. What about Ellen DeGeneres? She was a comedian. She was an actress. She wasn't getting the parts she wanted. She wasn't getting the roles she wanted, right? Her career wasn't going where she wanted. She actually quit those things and became a talk show host. And up until just a couple of years ago, she was actually winning more Emmys, more awards than Oprah Winfrey, right? She quit, right? She quit doing something and started something else. Guys, quitting is the secret art of winning. I would love to help you finish, and it's great to finish. But a lot of you, especially you entrepreneurs out there, I could help you more by quitting things than finishing things. Okay, so quitting is the secret art to winning. Now, The problem is most people just don't know how to quit. Who here would like to become a really good quitter? Anybody want to become a really good quitter? Yeah, I can I can help you become a really good quitter. I know it sounds crazy, but quitting is the secret art to winning, right? And the problem with quitting is most people, they quit on a bad day, bad week, bad month, maybe even a bad year, right? They quit in the heat of the moment. Write this down. Don't quit in the heat of the moment. So the right way to ensure that you quit, okay, with a high probability of success, right, in our decision-making matrix is we got to pick a time. Hey, I'm going to try this for 3 months. Hey, I'm going to try this for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. I'm going to try it for this time period. Right? I'm going to try it for 1 year. I'm going to do this business for 1 year. That means if you committed to 1 year on the 365th day at 11:59 p.m. at night, you are still eating, drinking, bleeding, sweating that business, right? It is in every fiber of your being. But when that clock clicks 12, okay, and it's the 366th day, guess what you get to do? You get to take a big step back, right? And reevaluate everything. Is this still the best use of my time and my talents and my resources? Okay. You get to go and look at the pros and cons and look at the other opportunities out there, right? And maybe you only need 6 months to do that, but whatever time frame you pick, you need to stick to that time frame so that you don't quit too soon. You don't quit in the heat of the moment. But I don't know how often I'm working with somebody and they're just beating themselves up. Like, I got to keep going. I committed to all these people. I got to do this. You don't. Now, we don't want you to quit too much. We don't want you to quit in the hit of the moment, but we want you to know quitting is the secret art of winning. Now, what's the problem with the two things I just told you? 1, finishing is happiness. 2, quitting is the secret art of winning. Finishing is happiness. Quitting is the secret art of winning. What is the problem with the two things I just told you? Well, they're contradictory to each other. David, you're telling me that, if I want more happiness, I got to finish. But if you're telling me I want to win, I need to quit, right? So this is where I want to come full circle. This is a loop here, right? I want to come full circle back to decisions and wisdom, right? Decisions and wisdom. Wisdom, and the start of wisdom is knowing what truth has the greatest value. The truth that this needs to be finished, or the truth that it's time to quit, right? That's where you have to come in. That's where you get to come in. That's where wisdom becomes extremely powerful, okay? And there's a lot of ways to become more wise, including having great mentors, great minds, great support systems, where you can say to them, hey, look, I'm trying to decide, is it time to finish or is it time to quit? Right? I'm trying to unemotionally, unapologetically, without a care with whatever anybody else thinks, make the best decision possible, right? I'm not doing it in the heat of the moment. I gave it all the time that I committed to. I committed enough time. By the way, there's some things you really got to give it a year before you're going to know. There's other things you only need to give maybe 3-4 weeks and you're going to know. That's a whole different conversation. But once you give it enough time, allow yourself to quit. Okay. Allow yourself to quit and to leave space for something new. Now, here's the mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make inside of this process. They find something new that they'd love to do, and so they just kind of throw it on, and then something else, and they throw it on. So you got to ask yourself right now, are you busy? I mean, you got more than you can do? You got more than you can handle? Probably. I mean, most entrepreneurs, most artists, creative minds and dreamers of worlds, you probably got a lot going on, right? So what that means is you don't really have any new space. You don't really have any new time. So it's not unusual for me to go to my wife Isabel and be like, hey, I got a great idea. And I'll tell her the elaborate idea. And, she's pretty nice. She'll listen to me. And then it becomes, okay, David, great. So what are you going to quit so you can now start this? Ah, yes. What is going to die in order for this to live? Or in order for this to live, what are you currently doing that's going to die? Is it going to be sleep? You're just going to sleep less? right? I don't know. Some of us are down to only a couple hours here. Are you going to spend less time with your family, with your kids? I don't know if that's what you want to sacrifice, at least not for too long, right? But what is it going to be? Is it going to be another business? Is it going to be another sales activity? What is it going to be, right? So you gotta think about that and see what you're going to give up. Because if you just keep adding things, saying, well, I can't quit these other things, but this sure looks shiny and exciting and fun and profitable. I mean, every couple of days I get hit up with something. Hey, we got to relook at Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Hey, we got to relook at the next app. Hey, we got to relook at the next tech. Oh, hey, I mean, I don't really want to date this, but right now everyone's talking about Clubhouse. Oh, we got to get into Clubhouse, right? I remember when I was supposed to get into Google Plus. What happened to that, right? I remember all these other things I was supposed to do that don't even exist anymore, right? So whatever new thing you're going to do, if you are truly busy, what is going to die so that this will live? What are you going to stop doing so that you can start doing? This is the decision-making matrix, right? And where is the wisdom, right? Where is the wisdom to decide what truth has the greatest value right now? A lot of times, me and my executive team, when we're sitting around talking about a TV show, or we're talking about the next book, or we're talking about the next event, we really want to look at it in terms of what truth has the greatest value here. Do we need to apply this rule and this best practice, or should we apply this rule and this best practice? Which one, okay? Which one will win, right? Which one will win? Which one will win for your time? Which one will win for your energy? Which one will win for your resources? Which one will win for your money? Which one is going to win? Now, the most successful people, they're brilliant decision makers. They are really good at deciding what they should quit, what they should finish, who they should work with, what projects are the priority, what's going to make them the most money, what's going to get them the most results. So I tell you, moving into the coming days, weeks, months, and even this year, start thinking about not just what do you need to do, but who do you need to be? Do you need to be a more strategic person? Do you need to be a learner? From time to time, I just really feel like, man, I really need to be a learner right now. A lot of new stuff out there. I just really need to learn. Not just delegate it to my team, and I've got a team, but I feel like even before I can give this to my team, like I need to know a little bit more about this. Like I need to be a learner for a while, right? And I've signed up for things, and I've put on the student hat, right? That's what I needed to be. There's times where I just need to be strategic. Man, I got to get more strategic. I'm doing too much. It's like the machine gun approach. I'm just kind of spraying bullets all over the place, hoping I'm hitting something here. I got to get more laser focused. I got to get more strategic about the people in my life, strategic about the people on my team, strategic about the projects, strategic about the clients, strategic about the programs. I need to be strategic. And once I figure out what I need to be, now I can better decide what I need to do. Once I know who I need to be, I'm slowing down for a reason. Now I can better decide what I need to do, right? What I need to do. So think about this, just to kind of recap this. Start off with the successful list and the unsuccessful list. Take a look at what all the attributes are. Make the realization that it is decision makers who are the most successful people. It is brilliant decision makers who are achieving and accomplishing, okay, and ascending. And then decide yourself, what it is you need to be right now in this phase of your life, during this time of your life, okay? What is it you really need to be? What didn't go very well for you last year, last month, last week? And maybe because you weren't being what you needed to be in that situation. So let's talk a little bit about that. Sometimes we wear hats, right? And I have people that I have a different type of relationship with, different ways that I want to talk to them. And so I literally even say to them, so that it kind of does something to me, it kind of clicks something to me, kind of turns the channel, kind of switches the lens, right, of which I'm seeing things. Hey, I'm going to put on my friend hat. Hey, I'm going to put on my coach hat. Hey, Hey, let me put on the producer hat, the director hat, the editor hat, the writer hat, right? Because sometimes it's when we put on that hat that then we're really making decisions based on the priorities through that lens. Okay. And people sometimes need both. I can go to Bernardo, I can go friends, a lot of people that are involved in this, Doria Cordova. I can go to those people and say, you know what, the friend hat, if I put on the friend hat as your friend, I just want to say, man, go get them. I'm right behind you. I put on the business hat. I might say, I don't know. I think you might want to work on this more than you want to work on this. Right. This is the numbers. Okay. This is what I'm seeing, in the marketplace. Okay. So this is a way to communicate with others. It's even a way to communicate, with yourself. But my goal here is to get you thinking about being and doing, right? And we're almost kind of working backwards, right? We started with doing. Here's all the things you need to do. So how do we know that? Okay, well, we gotta figure out the being part. Okay. And there's another part too, and that is kind of the thinking part, right? Think, say, do, right? We got to kind of become aware that these decisions are being present, because your body and your mind does kick into automatic, right? We all know, and we got so many, mindfulness experts and, psychology experts and, on here. I think a lot of you guys get this, but you take a shower, maybe you're in there for 5, 10, 15 minutes. You get out and you're like, did I wash my hair? I think I washed my hair. I can't even remember, right? Or you're you're home from somewhere and all of a sudden you're there and you don't even remember how you got there. You don't remember the stoplights or anything. You're like, man, I hope I stopped for that. I hope I stopped at that stop sign, right? Because you just get into the zone. So before you can do something different, before you even have the opportunity to make a different decision, you've really got to become aware, more aware. Some would say conscious. That's kind of the buzzword of the last decade or so, right? You got to become more conscious, more present, and really where you're at right now. Otherwise, the decision is just going to be made by the automatic brain, right? And we want to break through the busy, lazy brain, right? So that we have these opportunities. So, what are kind of the warning signs that are happening? So, for example, for a lot of people that are getting into overwhelm, are you overwhelmed sometimes? Do you know somebody who's overwhelmed? So if you want to get unstuck and out of overwhelm, right, then you got to become more aware of, I'm about to commit to something. Someone's asking me something. Slow it down. It's kind of like, it's just imagine like everyone's moving fast. It's just like, and you're just, maybe you're even backing it up a little bit in your mind. You're catching that moment. You're going, okay, this is that moment. This is that time that I need to be really present right now. Okay, let me think about this. What is being asked of me? I have to even do that with my teenagers, right? Because later on I'll go, wait, I let them do what? What did I let them do? Oh man, okay, next time I got to remember this. I got to remember to ask this question. So when that next opportunity comes along, you stop and go, wait. Okay, let me just think about this. What are all the things that I wanted to consider when this kind of opportunity comes up? Oh, here it is. I got an opportunity to make an investment again. Let me slow down because not all my investments went well. What were my painful lessons? And by the way, I don't mind that painful lesson. I just hate the refresher courses. Who else here hates the refresher courses? Anybody not hate the refresher course? We all hate the refresher courses. I don't mind if I have to learn a lesson once. I don't want to learn it 3, 4, 5 times. So, okay, I've lost some money before here. So what did I learn last time that I want to apply? I'm becoming aware. I'm becoming present. Okay. Now I'm looking into decision-making mode. Is this what I want to be right now? Is this who I need to be right now? Is this what I need to do right now? Okay. No, I'm committed to something else financially, time, resource, personally. Okay. Is this going to help me get to where I'm going? Is this going to distract me? Is this going to deter me? So think about that. Okay. Next part of this is really understanding that there is an order to decisions. There's an order to building. Okay. There's an order to building. So you don't go and you start framing a house and just kind of stacking wood in the sand. What do you do first? You do a foundation, right? And you don't do a foundation and frame and then start throwing in the drywall. Well, wait a second. How are you going to get in the plumbing? How are you going to get in the wiring? You just covered up all the walls, right? There's a certain order. Okay. Now, some things you can skip. You can go back. I mean, you can just build the whole house and then go, wow, I want a skylight in this room. I want a skylight right here. Well, had you known you wanted a skylight beforehand when building the house, it would have been a lot cheaper, a lot easier. But now it's going to probably be extra work, right? Extra time, extra cost, things like that. Maybe you got to finance it a different way. You got to pay for it out of pocket, then maybe being wrapped up in some kind of mortgage. The point being is when you're building, there is an order. And so there's what I call the law of entrepreneur order, which just basically says that there is an order in which to do things when growing your business. And the more you can do things in the right order, the more likely you are to succeed and the faster you are likely to have that success. Okay. So you can skip steps. So we've got this awesome business audit, this entrepreneur business audit. It's 100+ points. Okay. And it's really good for solopreneurs, good for people with small teams, good for people that are, 6 figures, maybe going on up to 7. But it can be even better for the person just starting out because they haven't made as many mistakes, right? They don't have to unlearn things or start over or, worry about, the investment they've already made. They can go and do it the right way. So in this checklist, there are, these are probably the first 5, 10 things you want to do. And then, these are next 10, 15, 20 things you want to do, and 20 to 30 and 30 to 40 and, 40 to 45 and 46 to 53 and just keeps going on up. So it's interesting. Sometimes I'll come to people and I'll say, hey, what are you doing now? And they're telling me, hey, I'm working on this project. Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, that's number 71 and 72. Interesting. They're working on 71 and 72. Well, have you done this? And I'm telling them branding, or do you have a company name, or do you have a website, or have you developed your product, or, do you have proof of concept? Do you have a working business model? These are things that are going to be in the top, 10, 25 things, kind of, not really, sort of. It's this is good enough for now. So it's like, okay, we're spending time and money on number 71 and 72 of things that maybe you would do as an entrepreneur, and you haven't really even successfully done 6 through 9 or 13 through, 17, right? Now, you can overcome those things, and people do all the time, but you could put the odds in your favor so much more by really doing things in a certain order. So being a brilliant decision maker also comes down to understanding that there is an order, right? And what is that order and how to do those things. If you want to kind of go over that order, if you want to get that free business blueprint, Bernardo is actually on the cover of the Top Talent magazine at toptalentmag.com, toptalentmag.com. Inside the issue that he's in, the whole business audit is actually in there. I actually put the 100+ business audit, 100+ point business audit inside the Top Talent magazine. It's in Bernardo's issue. He's on the cover of it. At toptalentmag.com. You could take that. You could also go to davidtfagan.com if you wanted to maybe, have a conversation about where you're at, where you want to go, and see if we can help you get there, or see if we can point you in the right direction of someone else who can help you get there.
If you're interested in watching the video content of this interview and many others, or interested in learning from world leaders and teachers, go to www.thebestyou.online.
What we're talking about today is that so much of what you're doing really is in your control, right? This isn't, hey, I feel like I was born this way and I either have it or I don't. It is, there are attributes to really successful people, and you can be those attributes. You can make a decision. You can literally make a decision that I'm going to be hardworking. I'm going to make a decision that I'm going to be more knowledgeable. I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to learn strategy. I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to be a better communicator. I'm going to be a better leader. Like, these things literally can be a decision. I'm going to commit to this for 12 months or 6 months, right? And I'm not going to evaluate or quit until that time is up. When that time's up, then I'm going to evaluate, right? And maybe I will quit, because quitting is the secret art of winning. But until then, I know finishing is happiness, so I'm going to try to finish, right? So hopefully you're seeing, I know you are, these pieces are coming together, right? What does it mean to be super successful? Not just successful. You want to be successful, show up. I'm guessing almost all of you here listening are having more success in your life than not. But there really is a difference between success and super success. And that's what I'm talking about right now. How do you become super successful, right? How do you become that overachiever? Okay. Now, over indicates you're doing too much. And I mostly say that as an attention getter. But, some of the, best people, they really are overachievers because they just take massive amounts of action. You cannot take massive amounts of action without the doing and the being. The being and the doing is the massive amounts of action. When you take massive amounts of action, you can fail faster and learn quicker so that you can become more successful faster. Okay. So think about that. Think about that. This should be an internal look at you, where you're at right now. You might want to give yourselves a little bit of a strengths assessment. Where do you think you are at some of these types of things that we're talking about? How teachable are you? How humble are you? You're probably going to need a little bit of that, especially in this day and age. How flexible are you? If you're an abrasive person, you just had a really tough year. If you're a really rigid person, you just had a really tough year. How do you become more flexible, right? How do you become what you need to be in this moment? And this moment, this week, this day, this month, this year, you pick the time frame. You might need to be something a little bit different. You might need to show up a little bit differently. Okay. And I know that there is more than one version of you. So think about this, more than one version of you. So sometimes the best you is the right you in the moment. Sometimes the best you is the right you in the moment. So I got to take a course at Harvard on negotiation. And one of the things that they do that's kind of fun is they have negotiating personality types. And so you can take a test and find out what is your natural negotiating personality types. And so, one of them is like the winner. You got to win. You like to win. You love to win. You want to win. You negotiate to win. Another one is relationships. You really negotiate with the relationship. If you like the relationship, you're willing to give up some things. You don't necessarily have to have the absolute best deal, because you also really value the relationship. You don't want to get so good of a deal that it hurts the relationship. Another person is the avoider. They avoid confrontation. They avoid conflict. They avoid too much pressure. They got to think about it. They don't want to move too fast, right? There's the engineer, the accountant kind of negotiator, right? It has to add up to that person, right? It has to make sense. They got to see the pros and cons. They got to see the numbers, right? So you kind of get the idea here. And, there's another one for sure, but it's not just knowing what personality type you are. That's not the point of what I'm teaching you right now. I'm kind of giving you a little insight into the Harvard negotiation program. But really what's more interesting is that once you figure that out, you start to learn how to recognize what other people are. And the reason why you want to recognize what other people are is because once you realize what kind of negotiator they are, you now know how you need to show up. For example, if you are a winner and you realize somebody else is a winner, you got two people that are just kind of butting heads here, both wanting to win. So when you recognize that there is a winner, you can say, oh, this person needs to win. They need to feel like they're winning. I need to give this person a win. Because I was aware and I recognize who the person is in the moment, now I can be the right me, right? I can kind of shift. I can become that more elevated individual and say, oh, okay, I need to help this person win here. Okay. Now, this isn't so much about negotiation. Don't get too lost on it. It's a very fascinating subject, and I could get going on it for hours and hours and hours. This is more about understanding the being and the doing and the awareness that comes first so that you can be and do the right thing in that moment with that person. And that's the more sophisticated individual. That's who we kind of need to be in this day and age, right? It's not one size fits all, right? There's that expression, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Okay. So you don't want to be that. You don't want to be so one dimensional. If you know somebody that is a real avoider, there's a better way to work towards them. Now, again, I'm not going to teach all that proprietary, Harvard information. Those are things that maybe I can help with you as a coaching client or something like that. Or, there's other materials, there's other information. But due to the essence of time here, I just want you to stay really focused here on how do we recognize what the situation is, what the person is, so that we can show up the right way. How I show up sometimes with my kids is not how I'm going to show up with my clients. How I show up with my parents isn't necessarily how I'm going to show up, with my business partners. How I show up with my business partners isn't necessarily how I'm going to show up with fill in the blank, right? So, although we learn these things, the idea is, what is the best tactic, tool, problem-solving technique, business best practice for that situation, or which truth has the most value? Wisdom starts with which truth has the most value, and truth might show up as a tool or as a technique. So hopefully we got your wheels turning. I know we did. There's no way we couldn't have here. But the takeaway from this is, becoming more aware, thinking about, the things that maybe we didn't do as well and we want to do better in, kind of how to set up some internal motion sensor alarms, right? So when something moves in a certain direction, the alarm goes off. Oh, okay, this is something I needed to be aware of. It's money commitment, it's time commitment, it's project priority. It's, we're hiring right now. This went bad last time. Something's moving on the hiring front. Something's moving on the marketing front. Alarms go off. Okay. I'm aware now. Let me think about what I've learned in the past. Let me think about, who I said I was going to be. What do I need to be here right now? And as always in the beginning, it can be a lot of work. It can be a lot of work. Okay. I get that. But here's the good thing. As time goes on, these things are going to become second nature to you, right? They're going to become second nature. You're going to start to recognize people's personalities. You're going to start to recognize opportunities. You're going to start to recognize, costs and investments. You're going to start to see things more clearly. You'll start to develop a better vocabulary. It won't just be knowledge, but you'll understand which truth has the most value. You'll understand, who you can go to, who the mentors are on your team, who's your board of advisors, either figuratively or literally, so that you can make the best decisions. But in order for you to get to where it is you want to be right now, it's going to come down to your decisions. So think about this. You've probably heard this before. Think about this. Have you heard this before? Every decision you've ever made has pretty much led you to exactly where you're at right now. Who you're in a relationship with, right? What you're doing for a business, whatever your economic situation is, financial situation is, maybe even your health situation. It's not to say that there aren't things that happen outside of our control. There's not to say that, we don't get the bad things don't happen, or good things don't just kind of happen or feel like they just sort of happen. But how you decided to deal with whatever came at you was still very much in your control. Okay. And so you made a series of decisions as things happened to you. And as you got more responsible and took more responsibility for where you're at in your life, you empowered yourself. You realized and took full control over, hey, it's up to me. I can decide how I'm going to act when things don't go right. I'm going to decide how I act when I get in these negotiation situations. I can decide how I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to decide how, I show up with family and friends and professionals. When you do that, you realize really every decision you've ever made, some are smaller, some are bigger, but they all contribute, to the process, and once we start to realize that, something will shift, and it might be happening right now. If you're sitting there thinking, yeah, I did this. Yeah. I married this person. That might have helped. That might have hurt. I partnered with this person. That might have helped. That might have hurt. I spent a lot of money on such and such. That didn't work. But man, I showed up here and I invested with this person. Man, that worked. Man, what if I would have never met that person? Jeez, I hate to think where my life would be. What if I never would have met Bernardo? What if I never would have met fill in the blank, right? Think about that a little bit. But once you start to realize that and take control over that, man, I think you're probably feeling that shift right now. It's very empowering. Okay. I do have some control. Okay. Not to be a control freak, not to kick into narcissism mode here, but just to realize, look, I can contribute to the situation and the outcome, right? I can have an impact on where I want to be and where I want to go. And it may not happen today or even tomorrow, but it can happen if I play the odds. Okay. So this is the next thing I want to tell you, and we're going to start to wrap up here, is that there are no silver bullets in business. Okay. There might be a few silver bullets in life. Like, look, this is a law. But really in business, not everything will work for every person, every place, every time. Okay? Not everything is going to work every time for every person, every place, every time. Okay, so what are we looking for? We're looking for best practices. We're looking for the things that if we do them day in and day out, they're going to work way more than they're not going to work. So what are some of those best practices? For me, could be getting up at a certain amount of time, a certain hour. It could be, when I follow my best routines, my best rituals, I'm more likely to have my best day. I have something called my best day. Every day, I know what my best day could be. I have to eat a certain way to hit my best day. I have to get a certain amount of things done to hit my best day. I have to have certain kinds of conversations with the people I love and care about to have my best day. There's a handful of other things, but I literally have my best day. I know what my best day looks like. And I don't always hit my best day, but you're never going to hit it if you don't even know what it looks like. Start to think about, what does your best day look like? What kind of things would you need to do? It could be as simple as I got to brush my teeth. Maybe I got to take a shower. I got to get, this amount of sleep. I got to eat this way. I got to get at least this much exercise. Best week, best month. I know what my best week looks like. My best week looks like this, right? If you don't know what that looks like, how are you ever going to create it? How are you ever going to do it? You got to know what it looks like. So sit down, design it. Best day, best week, best month. Maybe best year. Okay. And then shoot for that and realize your best day is a series of decisions throughout that whole day. You're going to decide to get up at a certain time. You're going to decide to eat something. You're going to decide maybe not to eat something. You're going to decide to maybe invest in certain things, time, energy. You're going to decide to respond to all the emails that came in that day. I know that's a tough one. I know I just threw you a curveball right there. But what is your best day, week, month? And what are the decisions you need to make to do that? Shift towards that, feel that, step into that, own that, realize that you have a control over that and that it is literally a series of decisions. Like you can decide, and even when the unforeseen event happens, how do you handle the unforeseen events? I try to build in extra time just for the unseen event. How many people do that? You probably do that. Maybe you leave to go someplace a little bit early. Maybe you start something a little bit early just for the unforeseen event of something going wrong. Technology, right? You don't want to turn on the laptop, 30 seconds. Actually, I'll ask you right now, who here's done that? Who's turned on the laptop 30 seconds prior to having to be on a Zoom call or video, and then it doesn't boot up, or your computer says need to restart, right? Unforeseen event. Okay. So sometimes we just even need to leave time or room for unforeseen events. Even that is a decision. Success is a decision. Super success is a decision. Okay. How do you go from becoming successful to super successful? It is all in the decisions you make, the awareness that you have, the ability to be the right version of yourself at the right time. And I'm just summarizing and recapping and bringing it all together. Thank you guys for being here with me today. DavidTFagan.com. You can learn a lot more about me. My calendar link's in there if you want to set up a quick call, to see what we could do for you, see where you're at, where you want to go. We specialize in helping people with publishing and publicity and presentations. My book is Word Genius, What to Say and How to Say It. So if you want to get better at what to say and how to say it, let me know. Hello, Tony, my old friend.
For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.